Welcome to Politica Show, Online's Wire. Today is July 17, 2025, and we are going to talk with Ilya Levkov about politics and latest news for the past week. Ilya, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope
And
you are following. I hope neither storm nor heat prevents you from joining us and spend some 37 minutes together. Once again, the headline of my show is I'm talking to you and relaying to you things that you don't hear from any other newspaper, TV, blogger.
no other outlet. Unique
Yes,
analysis from Ilya Levkov, for
yes.
which we thank
Well,
Ilya.
it's unique, and then it's I would say it's really unique topics. Okay, the
And
first one.
Ilya,
Yes,
I see right behind you in Russian large letters Mikhail Lipschitz, Antonov and Cleopatra.
yeah.
Is this what you wanted to talk about?
No, it
No,
simply
Chekov,
hangs.
never mind.
It simply hangs there. It's one of my recent books, and simply it's a little bit funny because it's called Antonov. The title of the book. This is a collection of short stories, and it's called Antonov and Cleopatra. They the play of words, of names, and with a twist, of course. I don't want to ah
Okay.
yes to go into details, but I was thinking about this. I will tell you something that everybody of our viewers for sure knows. Uh, Chekov, they know the plays, they might know short stories that he wrote over 740, and I just published a very unique and unusual in his handwriting a story for children, and it is bilingual. I can tell you just maybe the title of it. The English title of it, Scrambled Boots. But it will be toward the end. Let's start with something more substantial. Said what happened
Absolutely.
in 1866. This when this story was written. Yeah, many things have been written about the Israeli war with Iran. You know what? But nobody. By the way, just once again, I cannot be linear. I must. I'm being pulled by my consciousness and subconsciousness.
That's okay. We
Uh,
can jump.
yeah, because look at this. First thing, have you heard the description of this war? That uh, Israeli defense war or the war of Iran against English. No, they saying conflicting parties. You know, this kind of a sanitated title tells you everything. Mostly it's indifferent. Mostly it's not sophisticated and deep enough. But they've also significant sector that doesn't want to say those words, i.e., that is Iran's war against Israel. And although it continues, although the rockets are flying from Yemen, once upon a time they were flying from Hamas, once upon a time they were flying from Hezbollah, and Syria, what happened nowadays, maybe I will touch. But in general, it's like an Israeli war, like Israel initiated it. It's the same gimmick as Putin calls his war in Ukraine, a local operation. Local operation is longer almost than the Russians fought with Nazis. This how long it took them to roll them back west to the original border of the Soviet Union. not so original. Yeah, original, I will call it, because the Russians expanded their territory, Western territories, between September 29 and uh, uh, June 22nd. All right, back to the what is unusual, or I would say, I will not ask this question. I will say the war between Iran and Israel. It's a long, long. Oh, I just got a new book. Let me show you. Completely forgot. Ah, ah. Okay. Yes, we got an old new book. It's called. By the way, it's an interesting fellow. He's an Israeli PhD at Oxford. It's called The Secret War with Iran. Maybe I mentioned his name is Bergman. But
When was
we'll.
it written, Ilya?
Pardon?
How old is the book? When was it written?
Oh, the book is not so clear. Well, of course it didn't. No, it was in the mid. I can check it with the Library of Congress. 2008. 2008. It is what?
It's
Ah.
been a while. Okay.
Yes, well, but this is all the secret war that was with Iran, and of course it continues. Uh, so this is most unusual war that ever existed, because I will give you an example what truly we can apply to. Imagine that on the eve of June 6, 1944, when the Allied forces landed in Europe, that is besides England, uh, and climbed those cliffs. At this moment, the Nazi Germany, at that night practically, and Nazi Germany lost the entire air force, the entire chief of staff, chief of intelligence, chief of the political Nazi party. Everything was destroyed and didn't exist. That it was, in a way, to say, smooth landing, comparing even what happened in Japan. As you know, it took United States over a year and three and 1/3 and 4 months, in a way, in August, until they decided to drop the bomb. That they to that degree, you understand, the structure collapsed, and it was not a simple collapse, because many Japanese generals, top brass, and more were ready to fight to the last Japanese uh, soldier, and therefore you have this kamikazes, pilots, and single people. As you know, there was one uh, uh, Japanese who survived some 30 years thereafter in the jungle, and he was sure he was hiding from the Americans. But back seriously to our. So this entire apparatus of Nazi Germany would have been eliminated. So of course the war thereafter would have been so-called a smooth landing. However, it's never happened before. The United States and the Allies had to fight tooth and nail, rolling Germany back east, and many thousands and thousands people died, and never before that there was this combination, a combination that I think I mentioned before. It was intelligent, local spies, and a commando of Mossad. This was very unusual. In a way, in this old book that I just showed you, this analyzes the entire materials that Israelis hijacked or kidnapped or simply took and brought thousand and thousand terabyte of information that they got on a practical level. That is, it's not intelligence that you are staying somewhere and checking how many rockets have been sent, from what position, and things like this. It's really hands on the lock and the storage where this secret information was taken by the Israelis. And of course, they got obvious picture and of intentions, and it was then. They said in 2008. 2008, it just Obama came and just consider how many promises were made and accepted by President Obama, and to the degree that nothing was done about it. So once again, it's not only invention of a gadget, of a new drone or something else. It's a different concept how the war can be uh, won and can be practiced
Conducted.
in our age. And it's a lesson to the entire so-called strategy and tactics of any. No country ever went to war with such a softening, you know. It's not bombing. It's not carpet bombing. If you remember, now you might not, but there was a carpet bombing every night
Vietnam.
in American TVs of Vietnam. You understand? I'm not talking Saddam Hussein and by the way, the slogan Schwarzenkopf, if you remember, was the chief of the war against Iraq, and his slogan was that if you want to fight a war, you have to have a triple power against the invader in this kind. Yeah, United States invaded because non-compliance from the Iraq, uh, and therefore the concept is to have the formula to have a triple forces. It just forces. You understand? Here we have not forces, vice versa. This once again,
No boots on the
uh,
ground.
yeah, the completely different approach, and this what most important. This is the most innovation. It's not the unique what Israelis did with the F-35I, you know. They completely, if I don't know if our listeners know it, they completely redid it. That is, avionics was changed completely. The bomb structure, storage, and for dropping was completely different because Israel expanded the entire thing, and the Americans could not really fight because they didn't foresee that Israelis will be that daring, take the best there, the most newest aeroplane, and improve, and develop it according to their needs. Reminds me once again that old um, in the Lower East Side at the beginning of the century, there was a big um, poster, huge poster with a face of Shakespeare, and under it was written in Yiddish, "Verbessert und verneuert," i.e., it renewed and improved. They claim that they improved Shakespeare, but it's just a break for a laugh, a brief laugh. So this what is most important, and this what I would like our listeners and viewers to keep in mind. To keep in mind when this what kind of a change took place. What kind of a change took place? I just add a iota that just it happened today. It happened today was once again a very unusual thing in Israeli strategy. Israel didn't initiate it. This was an agreement, so-called, with Giuliani, the head, the former member of ISIS, who is today the leader in Syria, which was agreed upon that no forces in Syria, be it national or be it a gang of somebody, will threaten the Druses who live for time immemorial in that area in Syria. Well, this agreement was about a week or 10 days when the Syrian forces attacked and initiated uh, kind of a decided to destroy those Druze villages. So Israel bombed the forces of Syria itself, and which is amazing, allowed hundreds, if not thousands, of Israeli Druzes cross the border and help their brethren in Druzes in Syria. Very, very unusual, and it shows that no hanky panky and not he could say, no, I didn't give an order to our forces, the very other forces, they are not under my control, etc., etc. No, you're in charge of Syria, you are responsible for everything. So therefore, once again, was a very unusual that the army of Israel opened the border for Druzes who are, I don't know if they were armed or not, but if they were armed, they were only, I don't think they were really armed. But they went to help their Druzes to save them in Syria. I think it's a very, very political lesson that Israel couldn't stand idle. As you know, or you might recall, there was a big, big scandal in end of Lebanese Second War, when the Christian militia really was angry at the Palestinian Sabra and Shatila, if you remember the name of those villages, and they went and created a massacre of Palestinians because they suffered under the Palestinians and they wanted, as in this particular case, to do a massacre for this. Israel didn't do a thing and was called blame. And uh, Sharon was blamed, General Sharon. And more than that, in the Knesset, it was a vote never, never again. Sharon will be the Minister of Defense. So what did he do? He established a party, ran the, he was in the Herut, but he reshaped it, and became the Prime Minister. Here you have again a similar situation where historically few people remember the details, but once again, Israel had to be careful and allow the truth, because otherwise, you see, in the Middle East today, the question and being viewed with amazement by the Arabs. Look at those Israelis. They allow Druses that are actually Muslims. They have their own religion, but 95% it's the same as they are neither Shiite nor Sunni, but it's Islamic religion,
They're Muslim.
and help them. They will be amazed. They will be amazed because in any Arab state, if this like this happened, as indeed was allowed to happen in Syria now, no, everybody would accept it as a nonchalantly. So what? You understand? And this was a moral stand. It was not security stand. You know, it was a moral stand, which was a great, and the ink was still wet on the paper, and yet to show that there must be always an element of obligation and morality. Otherwise, there's no. Actually, there's a full treatise I can maybe one day read you the just wars and unjust wars in the Bible. You understand that the mere present, the division of just and unjust points out that there is always a moral element. It has to be, as I
Right.
mentioned with the Ukraine. So I would say this is supposed to be a very, very important element to know and to follow. Now, I wanted to tell you about the most unusual. Last week, something happened this week and the last week. It's very, very sad and very painful. Three Israeli soldiers in service committed suicide. You hear it, and it's not for the first time, and the numbers are unknown. One of them just wounded, the other ones, in a way, committed suicide and killed themselves. And this is a big, big problem. That is a certain gap. There is service treatment, but it's by now it's so institutionalized. So I think plenty, not enough. If they, but when somebody wants
Do we
to,
know the reason for it?
pardon.
Why did they try to kill themselves? What is the
Oh,
reason?
they were under stress. It's not post, it's not like what we know,
They were not depressed
with the
originally.
post post um
Traumatic experience of some
stress,
kind.
traumatic stress disorder. It's present stress disorder. You understand? And not everybody is able to cope. And they did. I don't know if they asked for help or for anything else. I don't know. I don't have these details, but they will come because this is the now today and yesterday. It's a problem number one, the Israeli army nowadays. Never before people committed suicide in the Israeli army. But almost this generation never before had a protracted war, which is longer than the war for independence. So therefore, there are many, many things. On one hand, you are just a iPhone call to the to your beloved one, parents and children, and the people with family. It's very, very. And here I want to tell you an unusual story that I haven't heard before. So this happened. The stress. The army decided to pay attention to the stress of its soldiers, of Israeli soldiers, in 1973 after Yom Kippur War. The entire war was 3 weeks. 3 weeks. You understand? And they were on the bridge of entering Cairo and Damascus. So there was no this long, long duration, long that Israel cannot get the hostages. It's a traumatized. It makes you an hypocrite. On one hand, you are the most powerful factor in the Middle East. On the other hand, you are helpless and hopeless. And 100,000 of people every evening on a Friday, and especially shout and say, Netanyahu, bring the hostages home, as though it is in his power. So he is in a position that he could say, I would like, I care, I take sleep tablets, to sleep. However, I cannot. This is what they wanted from Netanyahu in order to topple him, as though any of them had a solution. And Netanyahu said no, because they inserted, bring them home at any price. You understand? Bring them home at any price. It's to it's to raise a white flag over the
Salute
Knesset
war.
in Jerusalem. You know, it's impossible. Yes, Israel was caught surprise. There will be a committee, national or governmental. They still fighting which kind of a committee. However, nobody could have solved this problem. And by the way, this problem just is the nowadays the only 20 hostages. I say only with forgiveness, but there were there were over 200. There were 200, you know. So I'm not counting the dead people who died, the live one. That's what is most important. The dead one would be released when the Hamas will be totally destroyed and they could get out and out of Gaza with a white flag. In no way with the red, white, and green, as their flag suggests. So, but the thing, well, interesting thing happened. And you know who came with this idea to help the Israelis soldiers to receive this professional help in 1973? You would not believe me. I'll throw you a name and then I'll explain who was this person. It was Ze'ev Avni. Ze'ev Avni was uh, servicing in a high position in Mossad. And it was discovered and he was caught. He was a Soviet spy. Listen to this, a movie should be made. A Soviet spy in high rank Mossad, and he was. But he used different. He was in Belgium. He was in several countries. I think Bulgaria and others. And he was providing this information to GRU, the military intelligence of the Soviet Union in 1973. And he, in a way, but he sat in the prison and later on was engaged by a foreign ministry of Israel. It's an amazing and unbelievable story. And this person really initiated the treatment, the medical treatment of the Israeli soldiers in such a situation as a post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Isn't it amazing that the only spy who spied against Israel in Mossad, it's ambiguity, it's a two brothers, it's a separate story. Uh, One day I will tell you more about this. But at this point, I want just to add, I watched hundreds and hundred times uh, the program The Patriots on Channel 14, and there in Hebrew. And there was almost daily, somebody who had relationship to the hostages or to a fallen hero. And therefore this person spoke painful thing. He didn't accuse the state of Israel, but you could see the pain of those people. The survivors were walking with a hollow heart, you understand? It's amazing. We strangers from outside, those that understand, follow, even on academical level, even on personal level. Listen, we can, our our understanding is not fully deep and explained. And in this gap, this what happened in the Israeli society. That is, on one hand, those evening on Kaplan Street, they call it Kaplanists, that demanded bring them home at any price. As a matter of fact, I came, it was over a year ago, listened to Schumer at the United Nations. I recorded him. and he was playing. He is a he is a foxy, very, very foxy person. How can you say bring them home when it's not up to Prime Minister Netanyahu or anybody else? They don't know. Even now, if we're talking about release of 10 people, Hamas broke the agreement. I hope you followed and you know about this. Nowadays, this week, so to say and to point a finger to the prime minister, it's irresponsible. It's a plenty of stress. It's not post-traumatic. It's a
Situation.
contemporary traumatic situation, and they heat it up and serve it hot for consuming to all those who want to Netanyahu lose, leave the government as though without solution, because nobody of them, once again I stress, offered solution. So I would say those 2 points I can go and talk to you more about this, but I would like simply to finish to a small booklet came out. I think most of you for sure attended some plays by the prominent Russian author. May I
Yes.
may I for a second? Hello, I'm Ilya. Listen, I'm live on the TV. We'll talk in 20 minutes. Bye bye. Bye. No, I'm sorry.
That's
Neighbor
fine.
and a neighbor in need. Okay. All right. You, of course, heard about this man. His name is Chekhov. Chekhov was an interesting and beloved author. He was a doctor. He was he was traveling a lot, and actually he got sick and died in a very early uh, age, about 45, I think, top. He was in the far, far east and got a lung disease, and it was. He wrote the primarily he is known for his writing of plays, Three Sisters, Uncle Vanya, uh, and then it was uh, Shachov, Siegel. As a matter of fact, it's
Chekhov.
into just my relative as in Israel. Her name is Sigel Shachov, and she just visited me here in New York. So I was just amazed, and I sent to her grandma, who is my cousin, that book. That book is one story which was written in 1866. It's a story to children, but it's actually to the adults. And it's a parody of the Russian culture, how they uh, treat and behave in and the authors supported it. They soak them in this kind of literature. Once again, it's called Scrambled Boots. It's in English, and the story was the original story. I cannot read you in English because it's a small font. Otherwise, I would have read you. I'll do it next time.
The
However,
book is in
with
English?
in English and in Russian, in two variation each, in typed and script. So why the script? Because the original story was written in script in a hand by Chekhov. You see, it was in Russian origin. Can you see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Original Russian in script with drawings, and all the drawings in by the author. You see. But remember, it's 1866, you know. So I thought I will publish this kind of a unique, unusual story. So go, it's on the site. The entire book is I call it ACDC. The English speakers could buy it to their Russian friends, and Russian friends could buy it for their uh, uh, American friends. Let's see if this is a good formula or it leads to nowhere. In any case, this
All
is the
right.
parody of a Russian society masking under it. I have another interesting book by Chekhov I published about, 10 years ago. It's called Chekhov. I might have a copy. I sure I would have it. Oh, here I have it. Ha, ha, ha. It's called, it's only in Russian. If I would have money, I would translate it. And it's called Chekhov as a mirror of the Russian
Anti-Semitism.
anti-Semitism. Let me repeat it. Chekhov as a mirror of the Russian anti-Semitism. Very, very interesting. David Markish wrote me forward. Edward Topol wrote me a forward. And I, even to balance them, have a postword which disagrees with them. Was he an anti Semite or not? I would say he was not. He simply was reflecting uh, innocently what he saw, because he was in a way kind of a not globetrotter but Russia trotter. That is, he, the difference is 11 time zones. He went from the west to the far east, to Sakhalin, and half a year, etc. So in a way, it's very, very interesting, and whoever is interested can go to the site, which is very simple, liberty1984.com. Once again, liberty at, no, it's without at, I'm sorry, liberty1984.com.
Ilyush, I'm
Without
gonna
at, it's
place the
not an
URL.
email. I'm sorry, I got confused. Yeah. All right.
URL is gonna be there.
That's all for today. I will use the same thing as the fellow who uses Liberty, Mark Levin. That's all. Until next
Thank you very
week.
much,
You're
Ilya.
welcome. Bye
Till
bye.
next week. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Um, Ilya, what's the name of the